right, good morning and welcome. I'm John Ahmann with the Westside Future Fund.
And I am Ebony Ford, proud Westside Atlanta English Avenue resident.
Hi, good morning. I am Benjamin Earley. Y'all know me. I'm Westside all the way, baby. Good morning.
Well, it is great to be back in person. Yay, all right. And obviously for those that are watching us, we're still broadcasting live, but it's great to see people coming back in to the gathering spot, and because such an important part of this is getting to know each other or reacquainting ourselves with each other. So great to see people here this morning. For folks that are, is anyone in here I'm just curious, anyone in here for the very first time? Did anyone walk in this morning and has never been to a Transform Westside Summit? All right, I'm going to do this.
Way to go.
So thank you for being here for our first time visitor.
Thank you.
So we're broadcasting live right now. And the way the program will work this morning, we're going to talk just a couple more minutes and then we're going to have a devotion. And then after the devotion, we'd like to talk a little bit about the host for the Meeting Westside Future Fund, and then we're going to do self-introductions so people here get to know each other. Absolutely. And then we got a great program with Peace Prep. Learn more about all the great work they're doing in English Avenue. And then we'll be finished up and out of here by 9 o'clock.
Yes.
And you noticed already we have free breakfast. Thank compliments of Chick-fil-A. All right, great. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everyone for being here. First time or not, we appreciate it. We know it's early, so we appreciate y'all getting up and being with us here this morning. We're very, very happy to be back in person. And again, my name is Ebony Ford, and I am, again, a very proud English Avenue resident. I've already met a couple of neighbors that I did not know about today, so it's always good being here because you find new people and learn new things every single day, every single time we have our summits. And as John said, today is all about Peace Preparatory Academy, which is also in English Avenue. So I'm very proud to have that institution in my neighborhood. It started in 2015. So we are going to hear about their innovative approach to embracing the whole child, which is very, very important. So I can't wait to learn more about that. And also this glossy, beautiful bulletin that I have here in my hand. PDFs are good to download on our website, westsidefuturefund.org. If you are at home, please download it. But if you are here, isn't this nice to be back in person and have these bulletins? So yes, this is what you have there on your chair, so make sure you take a look at that, okay?
Again, we want to welcome you all back. We're here. For those who are watching online, we're here back at the gathering spot. We are welcoming folks to attend back in person.
Yes.
We got the free Chick-fil-A. Shout out to Dan, Kathy, and Chick-fil-A for hooking us up. We appreciate you. Come on in. You know, we're trying to build it back up. We know COVID sort of took out our live audience, but we building it back. We got folks, still trickling in now, so we're happy to see actual human, not emoji faces in the audience right now. It's very nice to actually see flesh. So y'all, get used to coming on back and spending your mornings with us. We appreciate you. But whether you can or can't, we still appreciate you watching online. And like we said, we're going to be featuring today Peace Preparatory Academy. Today we're going to be hearing from their leadership and all the amazing things that they're doing to not only, as Ebony said, invest in the whole child of children in the West Side, but they do that through also providing affordable housing and community benefits for people who are rooted in that neighborhood and in those surrounding communities. And we're really looking forward to hearing more about what they have going on today. That being said, I know we got more towards the program.
Right, yeah, I think now we are ready for the devotion part of our program. And for our first-time visitor, our devotion is grounded in the inspiration of Nehemiah from the Old Testament. And for those that aren't familiar, the story of Nehemiah going back to Jerusalem to rebuild Jerusalem, first started by rebuilding the wall. And as we collectively work across the West Side, we use that as kind of a inspiration and guidance because so much, at least from my reading of it, is such an important part of the rebuilding is the common set of values that are bringing people together to rebuild their community. And so we like to begin the summit with a devotion just to kind of ground our work. And we're really delighted when it's members of the community that give the devotion. And I'm going to talk about that person more in just a second. I'm going to read a devotion statement. We read this every single time to level set our devotion. But it's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the Westside Revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections. While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. And so I'm delighted that actually I'm the development director for Peace Preparatory Academy. Gunter will be giving the devotion. Thank you. She has a bachelor's degree in Christian formation and ministry, so she may have cringed as I did my explanation. Okay. And we know that she is passionate about advocating for justice, especially in communities that need that kind of support, because she's actually also a recent homeowner in the neighborhoods as well. And so we really appreciate, because we know you're going to speak from the heart to lead us in our devotion this morning, Ruth, so please come on up.
Thank you all so much for having me this morning. As John shared, my name is Gunter. I'm the Director of Development at Peace Preparatory Academy, and it's really a joy to get to be here with Benjamin and Matt. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to share. But also a joy for me personally to get to be here and share with Westside Future Fund family, because my husband and I have now a very personal connection to Westside Future Fund. You guys have helped us buy a home in the neighborhood, and so we're recent, as in the last month, English Avenue residents, and really looking forward to getting to know our neighbors and becoming rooted in the community. So we're really, really thankful. I love hearing the history of this devotion. I think it's super fitting to use Nehemiah to center around the work that you guys are doing. I actually have my own connection to Nehemiah. I took a leadership elective class in high school, thinking that we would be learning about different leaders doing different things. We actually just studied the book of Nehemiah, the entire leadership elective class. And so I tried to pull back on my 16-year-old self and see how much I would remember, and would love to share with you a little bit about Nehemiah's leadership. I don't know how much I'm actually going to pull from that class, but luckily we have the scripture to look at, and I worked for some fantastic leaders and would love to share with you some examples of things that I've learned from them this morning. So with all that being said, I would love to read from Nehemiah Chapter 5 to get us started this morning. This is Nehemiah Chapter 5, verse 14 through 19. Moreover, from the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when I was appointed to be their governor in the land of Judah, until his 32nd year, 12 years, neither I nor my brothers ate the food allotted to the governor. But the earlier governors who preceded me placed a heavy burden on the people and took 40 shekels of silver from them in addition to food and wine. Their assistants also lorded it over the people. But out of reverence for God, I did not act like that. Instead, I devoted myself to work on this wall. All of my men were assembled for this work. We did not acquire any land. Furthermore, 150 Jews and officials ate at my table, as well as those who came to us from surrounding nations. Each day, 1 ox, 6 choice sheep, and some poultry were prepared for me, and every 10 days an abundant supply of wine of all kinds. In spite of all this, I never demanded the food allotted to the governor, because these demands were heavy on these people. Remember me with favor, my God, for all I have done for these people. So this morning, I just want to draw out one really simple theme about leadership from Nehemiah for us to take away. And it's this, that Nehemiah was a good leader because he knew his people really well. So at this point into the story, I would say John actually explained it excellently. Nehemiah has traveled back to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls of the city. This is kind of his main calling by God. But we learn in chapter 5 that he also had began to govern the people. He was appointed governor. And right away, he starts to do some things differently for the day-to-day life of the people. At the very beginning of the passage, we see that Nehemiah begins to make this change to the allotted food tax. He doesn't require it of the people anymore. He had this intimate understanding that it had been a really heavy burden on them from the governors who were governing over them in the past. In short, he basically knew their history. He understood what their history had affected on them. In our work at Peace Prep, one of my favorite things that I get to do is we take donors on tours of the school and the neighborhood. And Benjamin is our resident history expert. And I've gotten to learn a lot from him after his about 12 years of living in the neighborhood, how he has studied and learned and desired to just know the history of the people and the place that we exist in. And it's really a joy to get to share that with our donors and for them to understand that there's a context that we're working within and all of our programs are contextually appropriate to that history. But I think even more simply, like as a neighbor moving into this neighborhood, my hope is that I'm really slow to speak and quick to listen, that I can learn from people's oral history and from reading on the neighborhood and all of those things to become a good neighbor first. But that being said, Nehemiah didn't just know the people's history. He actually knew the people himself. In verse 16, he says, "Instead, I devoted myself to work on this wall. All my men were assembled there for this work." So Nehemiah not only did the organization and the planning and the strategizing of building the wall, but he actually built it with the people himself. And when a hard day's work was finished, we kind of get this picture that he feasted with the people afterwards. It says later in the passage, "Furthermore, 150 Jews and officials ate at my table, as well as those who came to us from the surrounding nations." He governed them out of this intimate knowledge of like what it was like to be one of them. He was a wall laborer at the end of the day. He was doing the same things that they were doing. I think we see this example of what I'll call incarnational leadership totally perfected in Jesus. He knew our pain, he knew our joys because he was fully human. From his full being, he leads us towards our ultimate joy and our ultimate alleviation of suffering. So I would love to tell you about a personal example that I've seen of this kind of leadership. We have a beloved community member who works on our support staff, Miss Brittany, and I often go to her for help on a lot of different things. We have a really sweet donor base who will often offer new resources, new ideas, things that I'm not sure if they'll be a good fit in our community or actually fill a need. And so a lot of times I'll bounce ideas off of Miss Brittany. And she's been a huge help to me in that way. So about 2 years ago, we started doing grocery support during COVID, and that kind of grew into a Thanksgiving basket drive during the time that we were virtual in Thanksgiving, where we got together dry goods and a frozen turkey for each of our Peace Prep families. This year, Miss Brittany and our resident advocates and our oaksATL team, who you'll hear more about from Matt and Benjamin later, decided that they would like to do a Thanksgiving basket, not just for our Peace families, but also for the 31 families that live in the apartment units that are surrounding our school. So we had a total of 70 baskets that we were hoping to fill and give out to families. We were really excited, again, got a ton of organizations and churches to get involved in this, and we're really prepped well for the day of this drive. On the actual day of the drive, we had one of our final church partners come and drop off. What they were supposed to bring was a whole load of dry goods, canned goods, yams and rice, stuffing, all that sort of thing. They brought that, which was wonderful. They also brought an additional 70 frozen turkeys that we were not expecting. So Benjamin, who would never want anything to go to waste, happily accepted them, and I got the call that we had 140 frozen turkeys sitting in our kitchen and in our principal's office. So our principal had been relegated to the staff office, and his office was now just turkey storage. So we had 70 additional turkeys that we had to find homes for at the end of the day. This was one of those things that I just did not have the skill set to solve. In fact, I would say I maybe didn't have the relational equity to solve. I didn't know our neighbors well enough to be sure who would want or need a frozen turkey a couple of days out from Thanksgiving. And so looking for new homes in the course of about 2 hours for 70 turkeys seemed like near impossible. But I turned to Miss Brittany in this case. And she happily took on the challenge. Throughout the day, we loaded the back of her car with pallets of frozen turkeys, and we were able to fit about 25 in our freezer, but by the time the day was done, she had given away nearly 50 of the additional turkeys. She went around to different apartment complexes, opened her trunk, and gave them away to neighbors and people she knew. To finish out the analogy, I would say that a ton of people had fantastic Thanksgiving feasts, maybe similar to what Nehemiah was feasting with his people, thanks to Miss Brittany. There's a reality that I will probably never have the kind of relational equity in this neighborhood or the spaces that we work that Brittany does. But my hope is that by living there and being proximate to the people that we're hoping to serve and in some cases lead, that I will be able to serve them better from a place of knowing, actually knowing what they need and knowing who they are and not prescribing what they need. I think this is both how Nehemiah and Jesus operated. It's only from this place of really knowing what it is to be thirsty. Jesus said in Matthew 25:5, "I was thirsty and you gave me drink." That Jesus could say to the woman at the well, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." There was legitimacy in those words because he knew physical thirst. And I think this is a wonderful example for us. Not only are we able to look to Jesus for leadership, but we can look to him to know one another better because he went through and suffered through and had all of our joys and pains. C.S. Lewis said in The Great Divorce, "You cannot love a fellow creature fully until you love God." So I think I'll leave you with this thought. Let's look to Nehemiah, to Jesus, to Miss Brittany's leadership of how to love one another incarnationally better. And knowing Jesus allows us to do that. But also listening better, asking better questions, studying our history, and being more proximate to one another. We just shouldn't forget that knowing Jesus part. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. I was thinking about the metaphor of I've done this. You go to a store, you buy yourself some new clothes, you see someone, and they put the clothes on, they don't quite fit, they don't look quite right. But then when it, suits them perfectly, and your devotion suited you perfectly. I mean, you're so authentic with your message. So let's thank her again for that. It was and I really appreciated you drawing out your reason for moving into the community, because I often have reflected on the message, love thy neighbor, and it says neighbor, and right, neighbor would suggest proximate, right? And so because I've often reflected, to literally love thy neighbor, you need to know thy neighbor, and so with your heart getting to know thy neighbor, and especially appreciated the point you made about relation equity as well. And I think that's been one of the real consequences of COVID. It's hard to do that via Zoom. I just don't think we're meant to build relation equity. So, and great, big part of these summits this morning is to build that relation equity. So let's thank her one more time. It was a great devotion. And appreciate it very much. So for the next part of our program, back to building relationship equity and to know each other, this is what the next part of the program is about. And so for our first timer, we do this, we've learned this is really effective, because one of the greatest things that had come out of the summits were people who didn't know each other, but having a common passion or a common interest, or then being able to kind of have a new relationship that led to great things. And so what we do in our self-introductions, and I'll start over here, we ask, and have a mic, and when you're self-introducing, remember, kind of hold it close so it doesn't pick up if you hold it too far away. But to please say your name and whatever affiliation you care to give, where you work or where you live, or whatever you might want to say. And then we ask you to stop after that, just because we want to get around the whole room. And if you have great things you want to say, make sure the community knows. We have our bulletin. Let us know other ways we do not ever want to shortcase something people want to shout out about. We just want to make sure we get it in a time appropriate way. So we're going to go through the whole room. Starting with,
I'm Larry Corker of Generations Outreach and Next Generation Youth Center.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Bellows. I'm a Westside resident and volunteer. And Ms. Gunter, if you need some help getting rid of those turkeys this year, just get with me and I'll help you do that.
Good morning. My name is Beverly Rice. I am the director of Rice Inc. Literacy. We provide literacy and reading strategies for adults. Also, I am the mother of Euless Hooper, who is a teacher at Peace Preparatory Academy.
all right.
Good morning. I'm Faye Hammonds, Atlanta Area Council, Boy Scouts of America.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Corey Bishop. I am with the Standing with Survivors Mobile Advocacy Unit at Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom McCarron. I'm a proud member of the Westside Volunteer Corps, and I also work with two shelters downtown, Gateway Center and Hope House, running recovery retreats for the men in recovery from homelessness and addiction. Thank you.
Go back behind you.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean Watwood. I'm Senior Manager over at AMB Sports and Entertainment, focused on community engagement for the Home Depot backyard.
Oh, great.
Good morning, I'm Tasha Ford. I'm the Community Outreach Manager for Construction Ready. It is a pre-apprenticeship program for construction and the skilled trades.
Good morning, I'm Tillman Ward. No, I'm not. I'm Alan Bell, and I'm a friend of Tillman Ward's.
Good morning, Linda Adams, Vine City, Westside Seniors on the Rise.
Good morning, Victoria Esperanza. I'm a resident of Vine City.
Good morning, Jerry Kiernan, AP, The Conversation.
Good morning, family. I'm Tillman Ward, filling in for Alan Bell. I am a lifelong resident of historic Westside, president of Community Resource of Atlanta, based in historic Vine City.
Move this way, Tillman. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Muriel Murphy, and I'm a resident of the Vine City community.
Right here.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kelsey Wright with the Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Nicole Jones, Westside Future Fund.
We like to get everyone, so I'm going to go back and get one I missed.
Rogers Williams, Icon Filmworks.
Good morning, Deidre Strickland, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Crystal Williams, Westside Future Fund.
Hi everyone, Rachel Carey, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, everyone. Tamika Askew, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Marnie Pittman, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Robin Washington, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Natasha Anderson, Westside Future Fund.
Hey, we'll go to the middle cameraman.
Daryl Peak, Icon Filmworks.
Yeah.
James Hammond, Icon Filmworks. Brandon Brando, TMPAV.
Tasama, TMPAV Studio.
Jason Jaros, TMPAV.
Gene Swinson, TMPAV.
Shobek Cillian, TMPAV.
All right, we appreciate TMPV and Icon. They kept us relevant during the pandemic with the live broadcast, so thank you guys.
I'm Lloyd Foster. My family has been a property owner and resident here for 70 years as of this year.
My name is Dr. Glenna Tyler, and I'm a Vine City resident. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Miller. I'm with Be Compelled, and I live in Collier Heights.
Good morning, everyone. Caitlin Behringer, Mechanicsville resident and Community Partnerships at Open Hand Atlanta.
Good morning. Charles Merriweather, Goodwill.
Good morning. I'm Akia Floyd with the Atlanta Music Project.
Good morning. My name's Delaney Bowery. I'm also with the Atlanta Music Project.
Hi, good morning. I'm Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change. Hello, Alan.
Good morning. I'm Kathleen Bryant with Partners in Change. We're providing free coaches to Atlanta adults in need.
Good morning. First timer, Tanner Gunter. I'm an English Avenue resident.
Awesome.
Good morning. My name is Derrick Jordan. I'm a 15-year Vine City resident.
Good morning. Rue Gunter, Director of Development at Peace Preparatory Academy.
Good morning. Benjamin Wills, English Avenue resident, and I'm the founder and head of school at Peace Preparatory Academy.
Matt Maxwell, Director of Community Development at Peace Prep.
Elijah Randall, E-Rand Media.
All right. So as a wound up, did anyone walk in that I missed that wants to be self-introduced? Great.
Hi. Good morning. I'm Susan McCauley. I am a resident at the Herndon Square Senior Apartments.
Oh, great. All right. All right, well, thank you. All right. And she was even looking at me to help coach me there. Thank you.
I thought I was going to be able to slip by. I'm Maureen Sanchez. I live in the Bankhead neighborhood, and then I work for Grove Park Renewal.
Well, give yourself a round. All of us around. I mean, I don't know if other folks did, but I certainly did. So hopefully during the self-introductions, someone stood up and said what they're working on, and I thought, wow, here's how I could either help that person or maybe an idea to bounce off of. So when we're through with our program this morning, would encourage you to kind of follow up on that and take advantage of whatever the universe may have laid in front of us. So I don't have my program in front of us, so you're back up on stage, right?
Right, yeah, we're going to keep the program moving right along.
Yes,
again, we thank everybody for coming to join us in person, and we do have folks watching online. I was just checking the different feeds, and we appreciate everybody that's tuning in with us virtually. Again, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow our channels. Help us share this information. There's a lot of important information that stands to benefit a lot of people that take place at this summit, and so the only way that it can live up to its full potential as far as how many people it can help is if those people know about it. So help us in spreading the word throughout the community about all of the resources and opportunities that exist for people on the West Side. Do that with us online, virtually, again, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and we appreciate it, man. We love interacting. We love, getting feedback. We love getting added and hashtagged and all of that good stuff. It builds morale within the community. It just shows that there is a true collective effort behind the work that we're doing. So again, stay engaged with this.
Absolutely. And speaking of spreading information, again, draw attention to the bulletins that are there. We would like, for the people who are new to Westside Future Fund, I don't know where y'all been, but we appreciate you being here now. Okay, so for the people who are new to us, our value and mission every day in the community is to create a community that Dr. King would be proud to call home. And we do that with the help of our board of directors, our 2022 board of directors. I think we have a slide for that. We'd like to thank them. This is an all-volunteer board, okay? These people are leading their organizations, they're living their lives, they're working their jobs, they're building businesses, and they're also helping us to bring our vision here at Westside Future Fund to fruition, so we are very thankful for them. We're also very grateful for our dedicated Westside Future Fund team, most of who are actually here today helping out with the summit. So we really appreciate you guys. Hey, Kelsey. Appreciate you. Thank y'all so much for being here. We also have a few extra people on the team that do not get They're not on the slides, and we want to thank them as well. Janora Cook, again, Kelsey, Mr. Benjamin Earley, and Mr. Derrick Jordan. Thank you guys so much for your assistance as well, along with the Board of Directors and our Westside Future Fund team. We would also like to remind you guys of our program-related investment. This is an initiative started by Westside Future Fund to support businesses on the West Side. What it does is provide low-cost loans made with very favorable terms to support the growth of minority enterprises. And we want to actually thank AT&T, Truist, and PNC Bank for making this initiative possible. The application deadline is May 31st, so please, we invite you to go to our website, westsidefuturefund.org/PRI, for programming requirements, informational sessions, and access to the actual application. Also, we are giving away a gift card today from Home Depot and Goodwill of North Georgia. And we will be drawing that and giving that away later on in the show today. And I think we're going to be moving on to the panel.
Yeah, so we got a great panel discussion coming up, and John's going to come up and introduce our anchor for our panel discussion. We appreciate you, Derrick, for taking on the lead today. But again, we are excited to have the representation from Peace Preparatory Academy. This academy is amazing. I had the opportunity of doing a tour with Benjamin Wills just the other day. I love the work that they're doing. I love how invested they are in actually, not just nurturing scholars, but nurturing human beings in various ways. And all of the work that they're doing to uplift the surrounding community. They provide affordable housing for students and their families. So they aren't just invested in the children, they're also invested in the actual family. And anybody that's from the West Side, anybody that's familiar with the area knows that that is a key part in revitalization in an equitable way, is that you can't just focus on the part, we have to have a holistic approach to actually make it come to fruition. So we appreciate you guys, and let's bring back up John so he can introduce you guys.
All right, thank you, Ebony and Benjamin. So now we're going to move to our program feature, and I'm delighted that Derrick Jordan is going to moderate our panel discussion, and I wanted to introduce Derrick, and he's going to come up and introduce the rest of the panel. But when we started the Westside Future Fund, one of the things we wanted to, back to relationship equity, such a great theme, is have the different elements that need to come together to do a revitalization effort. Obviously making sure we had representatives who lived in the community on our board of directors. And so as we were looking for people to potentially play that role, a gentleman named Derrick Jordan was suggested. I didn't know Derrick at the time. He was living in Vine City. And so then Derrick joined our board, but it turned out that Derrick had worked for many years within the city of Atlanta on different grants, neighborhood grants and housing grants. But at the time he came on the board, he was working with National Church Residencies doing affordable housing. And so Derrick, because of his own background, comes with a real hard understanding of neighborhoods and the need for affordable housing. And so he, in that role, one of the biggest things that we work on is doing real estate acquisition and development. And so Derrick also served on our real estate committee. And he was served on the real estate committee because some of the other people we had on our real estate committee, i.e. like the CEO of Cousin Properties and the retired chairman and CEO of Post Properties, Derrick brought a perspective that they absolutely needed to hear for their own decision making because of his lived experiences and the things he could bring. And so he became an incredible, valuable voice in our decision making, both on our real estate committee as well as on our board of directors. And then, also living in Vine City, Derrick and I also just got to know each other, not living too far away from each other. And but also through that work, as we were doing more and more work in neighborhoods around affordable housing, community retention, we had a part of that is we're buying and renovating or building new multifamilies. And the person that was overseeing that work, left the Westside Future Fund for another great opportunity. So we had to move quickly because we have 6 multifamilies in various stages of renovation, primarily all in English Avenue. And so we turned quickly and said, well, Derrick, would you help keep this moving? Because we didn't want to, stop as we try to find someone to, replace, et cetera. So Derrick, that was being on our board of directors is a volunteer role. Doing that would be more than a volunteer he could take on. So he now is basically helping us 3/4 time as a consultant. And so Derrick continues to help us support the work, but he's also on the board of oaksATL. And oaksATL, you'll learn in the panel discussion, is affiliated with Peace Prep, and we've been lucky enough to do a lot of work with oaksATL as well. And so Derrick's got a true heart back to the relationship equity for the neighborhood and the work. And I'm really glad because he knows the folks at Peace Prep and oaksATL really, really well in a very authentic way. And I'm delighted he's been a part of helping the Westside Future Fund be what it is today. And so Derrick, please come on up and lead us in our panel discussion. Introduce our panelists. And while
My mic on. We're gonna try to get these chairs back up at some point for the panelists. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we'll do that. I didn't know you were gonna say all that, John. I just kind of, I moved over in the community in 2008 because it was close to downtown, and it made sense for me, and I've really enjoyed it. But I wanted to make sure that I was where what I call my people are. So I didn't want to move way out of town on the east side. I want to be right on the west side, where the people look like me, they shop where I shop, and they're gonna speak when they see me. So that was one of my motivators. And I think what I've been motivated by recently is, I am a board member of oaksATL. So for those of you who are not familiar with Peace Prep, I was in Peace Prep Academy maybe 3 weeks ago. I was walking over to see Matt, and I walked in the building, the kids are there. And when I walked in, they ran up to me and they started shaking my hand. I'm like, oh. I said, I got the Matt off. I said, Matt, I come in the office. The kids, they run up, shake my hand. I said, what is that? He said, oh, that's just something we teach them. But I thought, how great is that? Not to meet a stranger. When I was 7, I wouldn't have ran up to anyone. I'm gonna run away, These kids run up to me and they shook my hand. I mean, give me a good handshake. The ladies too, looked me in the eyes, hello. And I felt like I belonged, and I knew I was in the right place. And it's a credit to the work of Benjamin, Matt, and Ruth, the work that you all have done. So I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to figure out, I guess I can just start into some of these questions. I thought that the chairs would be up, but we'll figure that out, all right? So today, and you all tell me how to best do this, I want to bring the panelists up.
I think when Intel enters the work, we're going to show an introductory video.
We're going to roll that first?
Yeah. The video will go, then we'll bring the chairs up.
Okay, great. Well, let's roll into the video now, and then we'll get our panelists up.
So we just come from a fundamental belief that we did not discover this place, that God lovingly created it, that God lovingly created all people and all places. And the purpose that God created people and places for hasn't been fully realized on this side of eternity, right? Like we see brokenness in the world, we see poverty, we see hardship, and we look at that and then we say, this doesn't align to what God's design is for the world. That just changes our perspective as we approach people, because we approach them for relationship, and we approach places to be restorers. We are truly trying to live amongst and with people, again, that God lovingly created, and coming and saying, your story matters, I see you, I want to know you. It's saying something is broken here. We may not have been responsible for it, but we are responsible for seeing it be made new, because that is what God has called us to. We started this thing with 12 kindergarten kids in one little classroom, and our office space was so small that we could just fit one desk.
Benjamin and I, one day, were just staring out the door of the building here and looking across the street at all the abandoned properties and the rundown buildings that some of our students were even living in. We're like, we've got to do something about this. If we want to see kids stay in the school from kindergarten through 12th grade, they've got to have a place to live. We're like, let's start buying these and renovating them. 5-6 years later, we've got 7 grades, almost 80 kids, and we've got 31 units that are right across from the school where Peace Prep families are living in. I think those are all part of God's heart to restore broken things and bring things back to the way He intended it.
My biggest impression on the school is the fact that they serve the whole family and not just the child. And I say that because Peace Prep gave me the opportunity to get back up on my feet.
It's the least of these of our city, the ones that are marginalized, that are forgotten about, that are pushed aside. We are now seeing them move into places that are restored, that are for them, that are done with their hands, and now they're moving back into it, and they feel as if this is for them, and they are part of the ownership of it.
When I first came over to see what was happening at Peace Prep, I was impressed. I didn't expect to see what I saw. There's black and brown kids in this neighborhood, and I think we're all starting to realize that we need policy, we need education, but you also need spiritual formation. And I think those elements together are exactly what the culture of this neighborhood needs. I'm an outsider to this community. I'm not from Atlanta, but I'm from a community like this one. And I think the words of Dr. King come to mind. Wherever there's injustice or wherever there's neglect, there are no outsiders. Once we all know and learn what's going on, it's on each of us to make it our problem, to make it our issue.
Being a pre-K through 12th grade school is our ultimate vision, and so what we want to see is that we've walked with someone through their formative years and then launched them out into the world as a person who is seen and known, and so they can be postured that way as well. And so now what we think about is how do we get a physical home that fits the vision of this place? Ideally, we'd love to see a 35,000 square foot building constructed that's new classrooms, office space, a gym, a commercial kitchen, space for the community to dream together about even more of what's possible. Because again, we haven't even scratched the surface on what our community's dreams and desires are. I think a big part of what God has placed me here to do is to help people to see, to hear, and to imagine the activity of God in our world, and then to say, like, nothing is impossible. That if God's big heart is to see all of this stuff repaired, restored, renewed, if that starts within us and then works outwardly, then let's make that possible together.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. Without further ado, I want to invite Benjamin and Matt to the stage. Benjamin is, of course, the head of Peace Prep Academy. Matt is also over oaksATL. And I tell you, video, I have a soft place in my heart for kids. And that's the best way to start off your morning. And the only thing that's running through my mind, I have a 2-year-old, and every morning I have to ask her what color was Pete's shoes. And she says white. And I say, does Pete cry? She says, goodness, no. And it's the precious thing. Mm-hmm. And I think the work that you all are doing is just the best thing ever. So when you asked me to talk to Matt, it was a no-brainer. It was a yes before I even met him. So if I could with you, Benjamin, can you just kind of tell us about yourself and Peace Prep and how this came about?
Yeah, so I am Benjamin. My wife and I moved to English Avenue back in 2006. We did a year-long urban service program there, live on the same street that we live on now, and we raised 5 kids there on Jones Avenue. And in 2012, so 10 years ago, this very time of year, I felt the Lord invite me intentionally during the season of Lent to spend 40 days and 40 nights asking to dream. And so I was asking God, like, would you allow me to physically dream? What would it look like to love and serve neighbor in the context of this particular community where our family happens to be living? And God showed me these 3 gears, so whole children, whole families, whole communities. And I could see them turning, and I could see that vision over and over. And I believe that in that, God was showing, here's a picture of what a system that produces flourishing looks like. Here's what it looks like to produce flourishing on purpose in the life of a child or a family. And here's how we would go about doing that. And so Peace Prep kind of started there. in those visions and dreams, and then in my journal or my iPhone notes. And then I just began to say it to other people, and to kind of call people into this reality that this is God's heart for this people in this place that's been shared with me, and I want to be a good steward of that. And so it's been a journey of inviting people along the way, and as I meet people, saying, hey, you should know about this, you should know about this place, you should know about these people. They bear God's image, and they have a lot to teach us about who God is. And so the work really comes from that kind of core, and then leads out from there.
Oh man, that's great. And Matt, for you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of led you to Peace Prep? I know I've heard it, but.
Sure. Well, first, I'm a husband, married 22 years, and have 3 children, one in college and one graduated high school, and one a freshman in high school at Maynard Jackson High School. I grew up in Pennsylvania, went to Penn State, studied civil engineering, and moved to Washington, D.C. And that's where some of the journey started for me. I started learning that I was passionate about construction. I worked for a large construction company, loved construction. I loved living in the city, and I loved kids. And I was carrying on with life, hit my 35th birthday, and birthdays are always a reflection time for me. And I'm driving home from the largest project that I had the opportunity to manage, the Hershey Company. You all know Hershey Kisses, Hershey chocolate bars. It was a $100 million job. It was a lot of work. I liked it. But I just felt this sense from God, is this, at 35, most people, let's say, retire around 65, is this what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 years of my life? And there was just something in there that stirred, that was like, God telling me, like, there's something more. Didn't know what it was, just felt like there was something more. Fast forward a few months, I get this phone call from the first chairman of the board of Peace Prep. He was a mutual friend at Penn State. He said, I met this guy in the neighborhood in Atlanta that has this holistic vision of community work, and has an education background, wants to start a school, needs someone with development experience, and I thought of you. I was like, I'm not moving to Atlanta, I don't know anything about it. Well, one thing led to another. My wife and I felt this real strong calling to be a part of this work. I had never met Benjamin. My whole family moved down here, and we still had never met Benjamin. It was just following this call that God put on our hearts. Well, we quickly met and became brothers and connected, and here we are today.
That's fantastic. When I see you two guys, you always look like you're walking in purpose. Like every time I see him, I was driving down the street one day and I saw Benjamin. I was like, hey, Benjamin. And he was like, hey. And I was like, it's me, Derrick. He was like, yeah, I know. And he kept walking. He had so much intent, wherever he was going. I was like, yeah, I guess I probably just made myself look like a fool. But, these guys have a sense of urgency and purpose that always surrounds them. It's one of the things I enjoy about these two guys. So, Benjamin, for you, what is different about Peace Prep? What's as far as the education, what is different as opposed to what another school would offer or be like?
Yeah, so I think it's as you mentioned earlier, and as I mentioned, it's the holistic approach. It's taking all 3 together. It's saying children matter, children are rooted in families, and families matter, families are rooted in communities, and communities matter. And so looking at education through the lens of all 3 of those things, as opposed to just one or the other. And so it's a collaborative approach to education that looks at people and says, you're made in God's image, you have something to teach me about God, I have something to share with you, and we're going to journey together towards that together from a place of wholeness, and then we're going to invite others into that process as well. And so it's just a less anxious way to go about things. It's not saying like we're going to try to fit you into a particular kind of mold or to do a type of thing by a certain time. It's to say I value you as a human being, and so what are all of the things that you need in your life to flourish, and what are the things you want for your life to flourish, and how do those 2 things kind of meet together so that we create an environment in which flourishing takes place, where the name peace being rooted in the word shalom, nothing broken, nothing missing, everything as God intended it to be. And so calling ourselves and calling our students into that reality daily, I think is just a different mindset than I think we see in a lot of other educational institutions right now.
Okay. I definitely I believe that is true there. What does a day at Peace Prep look like? And I think we have a video that we can cue to show that, just a day at Peace Prep.
Yeah, so I'd say a day at Peace Prep is a lot of fun. There's a ton of joy. Our kids, as soon as they hit the door, they're greeted by either myself or our Dean of Instruction. We're greeting them, kind of making sure they're looking and feeling okay as they come in. And then they're having that same kind of connection with their teacher. So they're doing some kind of, connection with their teacher, having breakfast together, getting their morning started with a time that we call morning prayers, where they're saying a student creed, where they're spending some time with a story about Jesus or doing some imaginative prayer, and then they're getting a practice from their teacher to kind of think about or embody throughout the day. And then they're going into their academic time in the morning, where they're doing stuff kids do in school, and then they get tons of outside time, tons of free play time, tons of brain breaks, and then they start to get into their afternoon when they do lunch and recess, and then their specials. And so every kid's doing either music or art or PE or some kind of special on a daily basis, and then rolling in and getting ready to go home. In non-COVID world, which is coming again in the fall, we'll have after-school programming, and so then that extends for the day all the way to 5:30. And so that gets into their electives, their sports, dinner, more just connection time with their classmates and peers.
Oh, great. Now, I think we have a video we can.
I'm Benjamin Willis, and I'm the founder and head of school here at Peace Preparatory Academy. I'm excited to take you on a tour of our space today. We're currently in the fellowship hall of the historic Lindsay Street Baptist Church, which we are so fortunate to purchase in 2019. We're glad to stand on the shoulders of the legacy of the historic Black church in this community and add to what's already been an anchor institution here in English Avenue. So we're currently in our main artery of the school. This is where we have our pre-K through first grade classrooms. It's our cafeteria where we're able to serve kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can also see a library behind me. So this is a place where a lot of the activity happens for our youngest learners. And so from here, this is where the main portion of their academic day is spent before they get off to recess and their specials. So we're currently in our library, which is very important to us, not just practically because we're a school and we want kids to be able to read, but because reading unlocks futures. We know in the history of the English Avenue community that the English Avenue Elementary School had one of the first spaces where Black families could publicly access a library. And so we believe this is important, not just for our kids today to learn how to read and unlock their futures tomorrow, but for the legacy and impact we want to have on this community. We want kids to know that any child at all times should have access to quality reading materials. So we're currently in our kitchen space, which is an important space as a school that serves 3 meals a day and multiple snacks a day. Food storage and prep is very important to us, and so all that happens here. The other thing that happens here is we like to show off our kitchen because it's a showroom for the affordable housing work that we do. So our partnership with oaksATL Community Development allows us to offer safe, quality, dignified, affordable housing to our families as well as legacy families in the English Avenue community, and this is very much what those kitchens look like as well. So we're currently heading upstairs to our historic sanctuary space. A few years ago, Andrew Young shared with me that he had his first ever debate for a public office in this space. We also understand that through time and history, many other civil rights leaders would have occupied this space and various meetings and gatherings would have taken place here. We believe it's very important to share those stories with our students and our families. Today, we are able to use this space for art, music, PE, or recess if it's raining outside, as well as for large family gatherings. So we love to bring out tables and have a big family dinner as one of the continuous rhythms of our school life together in the community. And this is the last stop on our tour. This is our playground, our recess area, and you can also see our 2nd through 6th grade classrooms in the background. The other thing out here is we're surrounded on our campus by our oaksATL Community Development housing. This is a great way for us to visibly show the community our vision to see it physically and socially restored. So thank y'all for coming along on this tour. I'm going to get in on this basketball game. Let me get one, Hendrix.
Great. That's gracious editing, because I missed that shot for sure. Appreciate that.
Got to stay together.
Appreciate that.
That is a great video. I was wondering if you made the shot.
I did not.
Well, part of Peace Prep's philosophy is this kind of sense of growth, change opportunities for the community. Matt, could you explain how that, development strategy plays a part in what the work you do?
Sure. My role on a day-to-day is to focus on the infrastructure in the community, and that being housing, it being job opportunities, and it's the residents, it's the individuals who live in our apartment units, that live in our affordable housing, that work that work in the community, that are the ones that actually bring about the transformation and the change. So a lot of my work is, what is that infrastructure to help families and individuals thrive in the neighborhood? And I'll just share this about how you'll hear the name oaksATL Community Development. So in 2017, it became so bad for our student families in the neighborhood where there was just not available places to live. And it wasn't that prices were too high, which is now becoming the case. It was just that there weren't housing available. They were all run down, water leaks everywhere, sewage leaks, there wasn't electricity in places, and instead of investment in the neighborhood or investment in places to make available for people to live, it was almost like the opposite was happening. Landlords were allowing things to continue to run down and continue to chase down rent for our families in the school. And they were moving out. They were having to leave. And we were like, we have to do something about this. So we always had this community development, the housing work in mind. But in 2017, it became so apparent, it's like, we've got to start this. So we started buying apartment buildings, renovating them, and bringing families back into the residents around the school. And in order to do that, from a legal standpoint, insurance standpoint, and accounting standpoint, it wasn't feasible to do under a school. So we created oaksATL Community Development. So we call oaksATL Community Development an arm of Peace Prep that does the community development work.
And Benjamin, can you explain the significance of that relationship between oaksATL and Peace Prep?
Yeah, I mean, I think collaboration is key. Like, I'm a follower of Jesus, and I think we're trying to get at something that says there's no room really for competition in God's kingdom, and in God's economy there's more than enough for everybody. And so we just believe in having long-standing types of partnerships, and some of those are one-off relationships, and some of those are foundational kind of partnerships. And so if you say, oh, we're going to educate whole kids, support whole families, and provide growth and change opportunities for whole communities, then you need to do something behind that. And so oaksATL is about the doing of that whole community piece. And so it's saying, we're not just going to talk about this, we're going to systematically address it, which means we're going to put resources behind it, time, energy, talent, money, and really invest in it in such a way that we will see kids and families have opportunities to flourish for the long term. And so, initially, to kind of solve for this problem Matt's describing, we just buy some vans. And so we own 2 12-passenger vans that we would just drive around, up to 45 minutes to find a kid wherever they got displaced to. And that's fine, that's a strategy. But there's another strategy which says, no, we're going to invest in the place where you live, where your home is, and where you have an opportunity to be rooted. And so, the word oaks comes from the vision in Isaiah around oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord's dwelling, that God's remnant will be the restorers of the community, that the kids that are there, the families that are there, were there before us and they'll be there after us. And so we want to do what we can to physically and structurally address these things. And so the partnership is a physical representation of a spiritual reality, that we can collaborate and we can be in unity together.
Oh, man. This is heavy stuff this morning, man. Goodness. Matt, what's the why behind oaksATL, and how do you measure success in what you do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go off of what Benjamin was sharing. The name oaksATL comes from Oaks of Righteousness, and when people ask us, how do you measure the work in what you do, or the success in what you do? And from that vision, God's really given us this vision that God is going to raise up young men and women in the neighborhood, and they will become oaks of righteousness, and they would be planted in the community. So a lot of the work in which we do, a lot of the message is to educate a child and to have them move up and move out. And that's okay for some, and that's going to be the story of some. But if everyone continues to move out of the community, what is left in the community? What leaders are there? So God has really envisioned us that He's going to raise up young men and women and plant them in the neighborhood, and they would be the ones that renew, restore, and rebuild the communities that have been devastated for generations. They would replace me as the leader of oaksATL. They would replace Benjamin as the head of school. And they would live in the neighborhood and become the leaders in the neighborhood. So to measure the work that we do, we'll probably have to come back in 20 years and see if some of the students that are shaking your hands are living in the communities, and the ones that are still shaking your hand, but now employed there.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic. I think we got a little time. I want to push a question in that's not on script, but you sent me an email a couple of days ago, and I read it, and of course, I wanted you to speak to what's the challenge for you in the leadership kind of? What challenges are you facing, particularly you, Benjamin, in the work you're doing?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like this is a people business, if you will, and so anytime people are involved, there are challenges. And I think what you're referring to is about a month ago, one of our students was killed, and you don't wake up in the morning thinking this is a possibility of this day, and then that happens. And so we live in this liminal space, in this space between what is and what ought to be, and we have to try to fill that gap with something. And so I think the challenge for us is to say, how do we institutionalize hope? How do we institutionalize belonging? How do we institutionalize love? How do we institutionalize these fruits of God's Spirit? And how do we call people into this bigger vision? And so there's much more than what's on the surface. And how do you stand up and walk in that faithfully every day? But it's a challenge that we know we don't meet alone. We meet it with the support of our community, the support of the people right around us, and the people who are kind of extended beyond us. And so even in those really challenging moments, we get to see the really beautiful fruit of this work as everybody kind of rallies together to support in times like these.
What I found amazing in that moment was that knowing that people care. That day I met with you all, and I could just tell that you all sincerely cared. And it wasn't just us losing an individual, in the community. It was someone of importance, right? So I really felt that, and I really give you guys, all the gratitude for just kind of stepping out there and playing the role in these children's lives. I really appreciate that. But on a better note, an upper note, what's on the horizons for oaksATL and also Peace Prep? Like, what's new? Let's start with you, Matt. What's coming up? What's happening?
Sure. One of the things that we're beginning to focus on and grow into is job creation and accessibility to jobs in the community. So, we've been working on and building up affordable housing, renovate buildings, adding some new single families in the neighborhood, which are all great things. We've got a lot of great tenants that moved into them. But as a family, if you don't have the ability to have access to a job to pay rent, like who's going to fill these units? Like, our desire is to see existing residents and families of students fill these apartments. So one of the things we're really focusing on is developing further jobs. So we do our own general contracting through oaksATL, which helps us kind of control the costs on the project, but it also is allowing us to create more job opportunities. So we're starting to grow in that as well. We're starting to partner with people and do more outside work. So as John Ahmann mentioned, Derrick and I are starting to work together on more job opportunities. We're starting to do general contracting and development services for Westside Future Funds. Someone's here from Grow Park Renewal, some other nonprofits, mission-aligned organizations that allows us to grow in our construction work and create more jobs. We're also starting to develop retail space. So we have a project now in permitting that has 3 retail spaces that, again, will have a focus on tenants who are also going to bring in business that creates jobs
walkable jobs to the neighborhood. So those are some of the areas that we're trying to grow and develop on the oaksATL side.
I think you all have also brought an amazing sense of capacity from a neighborhood-based developer. Mm-hmm. We missed that for some time. So I was glad to have you around. Same question.
And so for Peace Prep, I mean, it's spring, and so we're always thinking about the fall. So immediately in the fall, we're going to grow enrollment by 30 kids this year, hopefully. So having 100 kids on campus next year, which is a huge milestone for us. We're getting ready to finish year number 7, so we're excited about that. Venturing into 7th grade, and so our youngest kids are growing up. It's fun to have teenagers now on campus. And then you saw it in the video. I mean, we really, our big heart and desire is to, again, have a physical representation of the hope of our community in that building. And so a 35,000 square foot facility that would have pre-K through 12th grade classrooms, a gym, commercial kitchen, media center, community space, seeing that, breaking ground on that hopefully at some point and starting to build that. Those are the things kind of on the horizon for us, but we're going to be growing. We're at the halfway point in our growth to 12th grade, and so we're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep serving, and we're going to keep loving, and we're just really excited about what the Lord has in front of us.
Right. Do you all have what's on your organization's wish list? If you had a pen, because we use pens, what would be on your wish list?
Yeah, I mean, so the building is the biggest thing, right, structurally, and then it's people. We're always calling people to join us in what we're doing, whether that be as a donor, as a volunteer, as a board member, as a just champion. A guiding question for me from the beginning has been, who else needs to know about this, right? And so you know about it, and so your charge is tell somebody else about it. Hey, I heard about this cool school today, check it out. It's really quick. That's all you got to do. Send them the link, peaceprep.com. And you would find tons of more detailed information there. You can also talk to Rue, and she could give you a better answer than that. But when we started this, I said, we've chosen a mission and vision that is too big for us to do alone. It will require the full body of Christ to lean into it. And so that really means there's not much we say no to. We could use just about anything. If you think it would enhance the life of a kid or a family, we could probably find some way for it to be useful. And so we try to be good stewards of everything that's entrusted to us in that way.
And oaksATL, same kind of question, with the exception of drops in lumber prices.
Yeah. I think my biggest desire today would to ask for more of a sense of unity and partnership from all levels from the city of Atlanta to further the work that we do. You would think that it wouldn't be that hard of an ask to try to do an affordable housing or our school set up, to put all the parts and pieces together to make that happen. But we spend so much of our time, it just feels like, I don't know, a lot of you are involved in different organizations and participation within the city, but it just seems like, I don't know if it has to do with that COVID added to it or what, but everything seems very divided, and it feels like it's fighting, everything you have to fight with and pull things together to make things happen. Again, affordable housing, you wouldn't think it would be that hard to make it happen, but we spend 2 years in zoning and permitting to try to get a project put together, and are pulling and fighting for permits, for financing. So I don't know, I'm just praying and asking God for more of a sense of unity and participation in seeing the greater good of the work that we do and bringing people together to do it and to further it. I know you experience it on the projects that you're working on. It's just really hard to get things going, and I know we all want to see all Atlantans thrive, no matter what economic background, education background, race. Like we all want to see people come together and thrive. And I think so. I'm just really praying for unity in the work that we do.
Okay. That's good. I hope I haven't missed any important things. We talked about this kind of meeting for a while with you guys. I do understand at one point there was a relationship that when you're actually doing these projects, some of the funds that you receive go to Peace Prep. Is that still the case?
Yes.
It is the case.
Yeah, so oaksATL was set up as one of its stated nonprofit purposes is to be a ministry of Peace Preparatory Academy. And so we have, again, systematically addressed that from the board of oaksATL to make sure there's a specific measures of how to pass through profits to the school as another way to create a sustainability structure for the school.
Which I think is a great model.
Yeah, so our long-term goal would be all the real estate that we own it and we have no debt on it. So all the income that's generated from it goes directly to.
Now there's a wish list there. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the goal.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, how can our attendees and how can we support?
Yeah, I think there's a slide, hopefully. Boom.
Yeah.
All the ways right there. You can pull out your phone and scan that fancy QR code and do a thing right now if you want. But these are all the ways to stay in touch with us, to support the work that we're doing. It really is a party and a journey to come along with us. So you're all welcome.
Okay. Well, I think that concludes. We really appreciate having you this morning.
We got a little, y'all did great on timing.
Okay.
So if y'all are cool, we'd love to take some questions from the audience.
Yeah, would love that.
This is unscripted.
I love it.
Be careful.
I mean, the audience questions are
those
unscripted.
hands.
So I'm going to bring the mic to you, so when you ask your question, folks can hear you. Just hold it close when you ask your question.
Thank you so much. I don't have a question. I do want to applaud you all. My daughter is a teacher there, and she loves working there. And I've been in education for over 40 years. No, not really, but 40 years. And I just want to say, actually, Mr. Maxwell, I'm at Maynard Jackson, so I'm going to have to leave and go. Okay. But, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about what they're doing, but I am a witness that what you all are talking about right now, you're actually doing. And I love the engagement that you have with families, because I've known for years, in order to educate the child, you must first educate the family. And so the parents must know, they must be educated, and this is what you all are doing in the community. So I want to applaud you for the work that you're doing, the sacrifices you are making. They are great. And my daughter Euless, I'm the reason, and I apologize, she is who she is, but she's been in education all of her life. She grew up in the classroom. Thank you again for your work.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. My youngest son is in Miss Hooper's class, and so always Miss Hooper this, Miss Hooper that, loves her, and so thank you for your legacy through her now.
I'm curious, your work a long time ago with Hershey, and it just came to mind as you were mentioning the real estate model that oaksATL would be generating revenue over the long haul to help with the operations of the school. Since you receive no public money at all, everything you guys do is through generosity and investment. And paying for teachers and health insurance and operations is really expensive. So the oaksATL as a supporting thing. Were you exposed at all to the Milton Hershey School when you were in Pennsylvania? And could you share that model with folks, if just even in the vaguest sense?
Yes. Yes, I was exposed. Hopefully I get this right. So anyone that's from that area of Pennsylvania knows about the Milton Hershey School. So Milton Hershey didn't have any children of his own, even though he wanted to. Him and his wife, I guess, couldn't have children. So they started an orphanage, which turned into the Milton Hershey School. And I think it's besides Stanford, it's one of the most largest endowments of any education facility. So a lot of the profits from Hershey go there as well. So yes, it's a model that is definitely I saw and have absorbed and kind of taken with me in the work in which we do. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
All right, we have Neil. I'll go this side and this side.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be around people who are doing what they're talking about. That's incredibly refreshing, so thank you. Tell us about your vision for the parents of kids. I know you have the economic development side of that, but the personal, lifelong learning, whatever those kind of commitments are, or do you see that as a part of your vision? And certainly if you do, I'm your guy.
Yeah, so we do. So good to see you, Neil. I don't know if you remember coming on a tour of Peace Prep a long time ago. So you came and walked with me a while. Stephen Cosby introduced us, and so we got to hang out a little bit. But so it's good to see you again. We do. I would say that's kind of an on the horizon piece for us. These first 7 years, we really wanted to approach parents from a place of understanding what their wants and needs were. And so we've been doing a lot of just qualitative assessing of what is that, what are the needs of our parents, what are their particular things. And so we kind of started with housing. That was the first piece that was structural, and now wanting to do more in kind of the employment space or the learning space. And so there's a space there for more collaborators to come and be a part of what that looks like as we flesh that out, particularly as we've grown. We serve about 40 families right now. Obviously that'll grow with adding 30 more kids. And so we've said from the beginning, like, we're a gatherer of people. We're not always the content experts. And so we're open-handed with folks who want to come and serve that particular part of our mission.
You want to ask your definition?
Thank you. This is great to hear about the day in the life. I was struck by the dinner component. How does that work? Do the kids go home and come back, or?
No, so when after school is going, kids are on campus from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. usually. And so they transition right at 3 o'clock when the school day ends, they transition right into after school. And then actually when we were doing dinner pre-COVID, the gathering spot was doing that for us. So their executive chef was preparing it. We'd show up over there at the back door of the kitchen, they would load us up, and we would drive it back. I mean, we're 3 stop signs from here down North Avenue. And so we'd drive it back over, serve kids at 5:30, and then as they were going home, whatever was kind of left over, we'd send home as well, so that families had, a little bit extra to kind of keep going with other family members and things like that.
All right, and then Mr. Tillman.
Yes, my question is...
Close to your mouth.
My question is on the definition of affordable housing. Everybody that does any kind of housing say, we're building affordable housing. Mm-hmm. And then whose definition do you use? Do you have your own? You use HUD's? You use your financing entity? Or basically, $15 an hour, what can you afford just for starters?
Sure. Yes, that is a loosely used word. Invest Atlanta calls our affordability meeting very, I don't know how they say it, but there's different ways to say it. But to answer your question, we try to target based on average median income. So our rental rates are usually set at 50% of the average median income. So our rents in our apartments now are, I think they're $650 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That's kind of an average rent. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for speaking. My name is Frank, and I just have a question for you. I admire what you're doing, and my question to you is, what kind of technological needs do you guys need for the kids?
Yes, so each year that we add students, we add technology, and so we have a 1-to-1 ratio of laptops to students right now, so we'll need 30 more. And then on the teacher side of things, every new staff member ends up having a MacBook, and then we have classroom technology needs as well, which we can share more about if you want to exchange contact information. As we add classrooms each year, we end up needing to add projectors and Apple TVs and iPads for classroom use as well.
All right, do you have any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
And maybe this was said, but I did not hear this. How many students do you have and how many teachers do you have at the school?
We have 71 students right now, and our total staff is 23.
That includes me too?
That includes, yeah, school and community development.
Yeah, so most schools don't have a role like mine or my team. Yeah, so.
It's less than 10-to-1. So one of our classes only has 8 kids in it.
All right, any other, yes ma'am, I see you over there.
Thank you. So I was just wondering, with the trauma of the last 2 years living in upheaval and a pandemic, and then also the recent tragic loss of one of your students, how y'all were addressing those whole child needs and whole family needs to help the children comprehend and process through that.
Yeah, so generally we have a therapist that's on our staff, and she sees around 20 kids on an individual basis, and then she sees all the kids through push-in social emotional learning time, and then she sees other kids through different kinds of groups. And so an example might be like, I have 2 kids that are in the same class, and so she does a sibling group with them to help them learn how to be good brothers and sisters to each other, or like the 4th grade girls maybe having a particularly dramatic season, and so she'll have a 4th grade girls group, and so so we kind of just an ongoing look at what is the emotional and mental wellness of kids through that perspective, and then when an acute thing happens, like what did about a month ago, we pull in some additional resources, and so we partnered with an organization called Kate's Club to come in and do some in-person support the day after, as well as in the weeks following, to come and see the kids and talk through grief and loss. And so we try to come at it from both angles in terms of just what's ongoing every day. This is a need people have, and so again, you put structure behind it, and then what's the acute thing, that's when we can kind of call in some additional resources. Yeah.
Great question. All right, any other?
Yeah, are y'all trying to get the old English Avenue school, the bigger school?
We are not. No, we purchased the Lindsay Street Baptist Church's Heritage Hall in 2019, and that's where our permanent campus will be located.
And are y'all trying to do more projects in this area?
Housing-wise, yes. Definitely.
Yes, we always try to keep 1 or 2 in future development, so we're working on two more affordable housing properties now. Yes, sir.
And I actually say no, because we've been potentially looking at helping with the financing. A gentleman named Kevin Patterson runs a real estate company. He has purchased the English Avenue School and has plans to renovate it as a workforce training center. So if that deal closes later this year, we could bring him up to share those plans for English Avenue School. But he's still got a few more hoops to. He's going to keep it as a historic design. Yeah, he would renovate the building historically. Yeah, that's a big part of his plans, is to keep the structure intact. Everything inside has to be rebuilt inside, but the outside, all those, yeah. A little off script. Other questions? Is that? Well, as we wind up, anything more y'all wanted to say or share with the audience before we wrap it up, or?
That's it.
It's
Well, I might end on our partnership together, because it's extremely valuable. So again, how I talked about how our world seems very divided, I will say this, we are partners together working in the same neighborhood, and sometimes even nonprofits can compete, and they can compete for turf in a sense. But our relationship together, because we both do affordable housing, we work together, we enhance each other's work. We've even had an opportunity where someone was selling a property right next to the school, and the owner was trying to get bid wars going. Well, they called us, they called them, they called other people, and Westside Future Funds immediately called me and said, hey, are you guys looking at this property, because we're being asked to buy it? And we said, yes, it's very important to us. And they said, okay, we'll walk away. So I just want to highlight that. It's great to work with people who are missionally aligned, but work together, and we complement each other's work. So thanks for the work you all do too.
Yeah, and maybe I'd just offer a blessing as well, and just say, like, I was invited to do one of the first devotionals at this summit when it was still at City of Refuge in the small room before it went to the big room. And so, yeah, just a word of encouragement and a blessing to say, like, press on and persist on and keep doing what it is that's happening here, because people are still coming and people are still interested and engaged, and it's necessary. You're providing a unique space for people to share their stories and perspectives with a pretty low agenda, and I appreciate that. And so just a blessing to you all for coming, and to the Westside Future Fund for inviting us to participate.
Well, no, we're grateful for that you're here, and for folks many, but what Matt was referring to, we at the Westside Future Fund, we try to maximize our partnerships, especially with organizations in the community. So oaksATL does such an incredible job on building and renovating homes. So a lot of the new homes that we're building, we go right to oaksATL. And I think in a minute we're going to see a video of someone that moved into one of the homes that y'all built. But yeah, it's a great, because back to I've often reflected from a spiritual point. Often what you need in the room is all there if you can open your eyes and see it. And sometimes that can be hard. But y'all have such a wonderful heart, and y'all have been such great partners to the Westside Future Fund. So I want to thank you too for your partnership. And so I moved into in Divine City. So occasionally I'm walking the Westside Connector Trail, or doing what I would call a jog. Other people might see as a fast walk. See you walking your family. So it's great. Back to the building community. So I'll turn back to you. Want to have any final words as our moderator? Or?
No, I think it's been an excellent conversation. I am proud of the work you guys do. It really gives me a sense of making this community be in the right place, right? And I just appreciate you all so much, and thank you for being here. Can we give them a round of applause this morning? Thank you.
Thank you. That was excellent.
All right, Peace Prep Academy.
Yes.
We appreciate, again, the work that you all are doing. We definitely appreciate you coming to spend this morning with us. It's not easy, especially with gas prices right now. We know it's not easy, deciding to drive somewhere extra in your week. So thank you for everybody who came out this morning. And I know that we're supposed to be giving away 2 gift cards.
Yes, we certainly do. I actually feel like a game show host up here today.
You want me to hold?
Yes, if you don't mind, hold one of them. Yes.
Okay.
You hold one, I'll do this one. So yes.
This is not a magic trick, by the way.
It looks like it's going to be though, right? So some of you may not know, and some of you may know that, actually, which one do I want to do first? Let me take that one.
Okay.
Home Depot Foundation has invested tens of millions, literally tens of millions of dollars to revitalize the West Side, right? And they also give a gift card away at each of our summits. So we'll be giving one of those away today, and I'm not going to cheat. Y'all going to see me scramble these up. Okay. And the winning ticket number is 3990404. No, you tricked me. Who is that? 3990404. Who is the lucky winner?
Oh, Miss Ford.
My cousin, Miss Ford. How you doing, family? I'm very good, thank you. So I will be handing this off to you if you don't mind, and then I think we're going to get a picture with the winners. And also, Goodwill of North Georgia is giving a gift card away today too. Thank you, Mr. Earley. I appreciate you.
I tried to save you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. And I've always thought of Goodwill as just having really cool stores with really cool merchandise. Specifically the furniture for me. The clothes are good, but I love the furniture. They put people to work. That's what they mainly do, put people to work in the community, so we're very thankful for that. They have a new store coming on Metropolitan Parkway. If you want updates on that, go to goodwillng, as in North Georgia, .org/metro for updates on the store. That should be done later on in the year. And they're giving away a gift card today as well. The lucky winning number for that is 130014. 130014.
All right, we got a winner.
Hey, congratulations. If you don't mind, again, come up, we'll get a picture, you can get your gift card, okay? All right, thank you, congratulations.
Awesome. We heard a lot about oaksATL this morning. So this next video, I'm really proud to show this as a testament to what the Home on the West Side program and all of its partnerships that are necessary to make it a reality, what it is capable of doing as far as making the revitalization of the historic West Side an equitable one. And when we say that, Mr. Ward posed an incredible question because, yes, people talk about affordability. And, a lot of times that is just a sort of, catch-all phrase so that they can escape accountability in the sense of economic equity. But these folks are actually doing the work. And Louis Dees is our most recent move-in testimonial. He is a Morehouse grad. He, has roots in the historic West Side. His grandparents were from the historic West Side. And what you'll see in this upcoming video is his reaction and what it means to him to be able to move back into this neighborhood that he's used to calling home and that he feels so connected to, knowing that he wouldn't have been able to do so without the help of Westside Future Fund and its partners in purchasing this house. So for those who aren't aware, the Home on the Westside program offers different levels of entry. For one, they help with affordable housing via down payment for new homeowners. And you can look on the website westsidefuturefund.org/Home on the Westside to see all the details. But they also offer rental units, affordable rental units, as well as what's called the Anti-Displacement Tax Fund, which helps alleviate the increased pressure of property tax increases over the next 20 years at minimum. So there's a lot of work that's going into these programs, a lot of effort that is going into making sure that, just to be frank, that black people are not being displaced from the historic West Side, because that is what we're looking at right now. This is a historically black neighborhood. These are historically black areas within our city. And part of the downside to revitalization in the sense that, not everybody is always included. And when we see things, especially in the time of COVID, there were a lot of things that came to light as far as the gaps in access to different resources, and that being a true testament to, the wealth gap, but also the racial gaps. So income in our city, we already know the different stats regarding income in our city and the difference between what black people can expect to earn in their lifetime and what white people can expect to earn. On the West Side, we're working to create a holistic approach to getting rid of that wealth gap as best as we can. We know that not one organization can do it. We know that it might not be done in, the time frame that we want it to, but that doesn't stop the scores of people who are working to make it a reality from doing all that they can to make it a reality. So thank you to everybody that's contributing to that goal. That being said, Louis D's, the video says it all, man. Let's roll it.
Being a small business owner can sometimes mean that you have to delay being a homeowner. Thanks to the Westside Future Fund through Home on the West Side, all that's behind me now. During this process, or before the process, I was focused on making sure that my credit was okay, my cash was tied up, and sometimes it made me a little bit crazy. But thankfully, I have an affordable home now, and all that's behind me. What does that mean? That means I get to enjoy this beautiful home that I otherwise would not have been able to afford, and I now have free capital to invest back into my business and ultimately invest back into the community. What does the West Side mean to me? It means all kinds of things, but three things stick out in particular. It represents opportunity, rebirth, and hope. Opportunity in the fact that this is the place where I had a chance to launch and grow my small business. Thanks to great minds and small business incubators, I've had a chance to take a small dream and turn it into the possibility of being a multi-million-dollar corporation. It represents rebirth in the fact that this is the area where I went from being a boy to a man. At 830 Westview Drive, the Redclay-Hills of Georgia at Morehouse College, I learned how to be socially conscious and be a true leader for my neighborhood, for my family, and for my community at large. And it also represents hope. Hope for a better future, hope for a better tomorrow. I get the chance to live out the dreams of my grandparents, my great-grandparents, living in the place that they came and they settled in as black doctors and lawyers and teachers and preachers. Everybody who wanted to be somebody, they lived in the west side of Atlanta. And all of a sudden, over the year's time, we kind of dissipated. But now I have a chance to give back, so I'm really happy to be a part of this. My name is Louis Dees. I'm the founder and the CEO of Try Dees and Other Treats, formerly known as Dees Nuts and Other Sweet Treats. And I'm a new homeowner thanks to Home on the West Side.
So again, thank you to Louis Dees for agreeing to do that video and showing off your home. We appreciate you, and congratulations on becoming a new homeowner.
And thanks, Matt, because you saw the quality of that home build, thanks to oaksATL, so thank you for that. For anyone that wants to help us do more and donate, the way we use philanthropy to support Home on the West Side is one, that philanthropy provides down payment assistance, because with land costs going up, Westside Future Fund, when we develop a home, we just want to break even. But then that often means, given what land costs have gone up to make sure someone can get into that home, to layer in down payment assistance, like to help go in the home that. And the second is, as we build high quality multifamily, back to your question, Tillman, is to make those multifamilies affordable, we got to have philanthropy in that capital stack in order to be able to keep those rents affordable. So when we're raising money for Home on the West Side, that's where the philanthropy goes to, is The anti-displacement tax I mentioned, we've been lucky enough to feel like we've raised enough money to support that. But the high quality affordable housing, that's where we need to continue. And I know you heard the same message from people up in oaksATL. So thank you, and thanks to Benjamin for doing that video.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just, to provide further context to the affordability aspect, Home on the West Side provides affordability as low as 30% AMI. So that is critical as far as, being able to capture the least of these, as the Bible says, the people who are often forgotten, and I think that's really important, especially as a West Side native. Y'all know me, I'm 4 generations in, baby. Look, from Booker T to Doug High all day. But as a person who is deeply rooted in this community and somebody who is seeing the changes, I definitely feel that anxiety that a lot of people feel who aren't necessarily aware of programs like Westside Future Fund and Home on the West Side. There are a lot of people who fear that they'll be pushed out of their neighborhood. So I'm thankful for all of these resources that are helping that to no longer be the case in our community. That being said, we'll be back in 2 weeks right here in person and online. If you're watching right now and you want some free Chick-fil-A, y'all come on and get you some free Chick-fil-A. Okay, we'll be back on the 15th. Stay engaged with us again.
And I can say for the 15th, because we just confirmed it, is we're going to talk about public safety.
Okay. Great.
So public safety for the 15th, we're going to have I think some folks from the Atlanta Police Foundation and others talk about what the work ongoing on public safety in the neighborhood. So that'll be our program.
Yes.
And thanks. And so let's thank our hosts. I mean, Ebony and Benjamin doing a great job for us.
Thanks.
All right.
Appreciate
So as we see, they're looking at the countdown clock. It says 7 minutes, so I could just keep talking for 7 minutes. But I'm not going to do that.
Not going to hold y'all for
I'm not going to do that.
Let's do it, John.
But I think we have plenty of Chick-fil-A, so if any of y'all have friends and colleagues that might enjoy Chick-fil-A, please grab some of that on your way out. And thank you for being here. Hope you're back in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see y'all
Enjoy
2
your
weeks.
weekend.
Take care.
Here we go, at the top of the class on the road, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. On demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a extreme, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on the road, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.